Is he on right now?
No? Yeah? Ah, damn it. Okay. I have 20 minutes. Okay. It's 12:23. God damn it. Okay. I didn't bring slides. Now that we have this totally amazing screen, I had such a huge opportunity to show really funny pictures. I guess I already screwed up so far. Anyhow, my name is Dustin Diaz. I'm going to tell you my story or stories. I'm wearing these glasses because I want to pretend you guys aren't really there. Maybe I can take my pants off, make me feel better or something, but it's probably not going to look good on Hacker News. Anyhow, I got this really funny text from Rod. If you guys saw Rod's talk earlier yesterday on LevelDB, he gave me good advice before I started talking. He says, good luck, just be awesome and stay cool and people will be happy. Yeah, fuck you. So I typed back, yeah, stay cool, don't change, have a great summer. That's usually what you write in someone's yearbook. He's like, okay, whatever works for you, dude. I'll be heckling up from the back, just keep you on your toes. Just to keep you on your toes? Shut up. I'm sure you'll find things to disagree, or he's going to disagree with stuff. Ha ha ha. I disagree with your face. Yeah, I disagree with your country, strange American. I also disagree with your mom. I disagreed with your mom last night. Twice. And once this morning. And then he says, nice tie, hipster. Yeah. My girlfriend got me this tie, so you can talk to her about that. It's kind of fancy. She's up here up front. Speaking of hipsters, by the way, makefiles are cool, so don't diss on makefiles. I don't know, I'm sort of like self-diagnosed ADD. I really wish someone would like actually prescribe me Adderall or something. That way I can like take my 5 thoughts and talk about them at once. It seems a little odd in the Valley. All the cool kids, all the cool JavaScript hipsters are taking Adderall for some reason. I don't know. If anyone knows a guy. Anyhow, speaking of hipsters, a lot of hipsters tend to grow mustaches in the Valley, ironically, and especially in the Mission, which is a district in San Francisco. Ironically, every hipster tries to be ironic. So speaking of irony, I actually had 4 dads growing up, which gets into my actual story, who all had mustaches, which is also pretty strange and weird. But I grew up in California, born and raised there. I suppose I'm kind of getting into my sort of screwed up past like every other JavaScript developer who sort of like latches onto one fucked up language because we all share a fucked up past and go to JavaScript for some reason, hoping it's going to help save us. Looks like we're all still working on that. This is just one big like anonymous alcoholic group, but for JavaScripters basically, and we get together and call it a conference. And we pay lots of money for it. Anyhow, my first dad, I haven't seen him in ages. Obviously, I have one real dad that birthed me, or actually my mom birthed me. You know what I'm saying. Should have made slides. But there was also another guy who was there at the hospital at the time I was born, and I called him my dad growing up, and he was the one that mostly raised me. Then I had another one at one point in time. Then he went away, and then I was adopted at 12 years old, changed my name, and now here I am. In high school, I was a cross-country and track athlete. Out of high school, I was ranked 13th in the country for the half mile in hopes to at least make the American Olympic trials by 2002, but that didn't happen. Basically because I had like a terrible coach when I got to college. So I studied journalism and Spanish and cultural anthropology at that point. At one point in time, I was working for the school newspaper and then got into basically online editing. So instead of writing for the paper, I was just taking everyone else's paper and then like uploading into the website. That was at Sacramento State. After that, I got this really strange job at a startup called Athlete Web Services, and I was just sort of hacking around trying to build websites for athletes. I did some odd ones. The most notable one was Brett Favre, who's like a quarterback for like the Packers or something. And then some other 49ers and Raiders and other random football teams. But that was about $13 an hour, which was a little undercut, I suppose, to build pretty large systems at that point. Shortly after that, I finally got this job at Yahoo, which I thought was going to be like God sent savior, the best company, going to retire here, I'm going to be 50. That didn't happen. But afterwards, just to sort of go into the true story behind what happened there, because I never really told many public people about that. And if you want to know how not to quit a job, this is how to do it. I acted like everything was fine up until like a Friday and said, yeah, I'm going to commit to this, commit to that, have a great weekend. Saturday, I pulled my truck up, packed up all my stuff, and never showed up again. That's how not to quit a job and how to burn your bridges. That's fine if you really hate the company. At the time, I was 24 and thought I was a pretty badass and, I don't know, like was able to just have my own opinions and not work for the man. Like I really literally had 4 bosses and about 8 to 10 between me and the CEO. It was literally Office Space all over again. The guy that became my boss was this guy that I interviewed and turned him down, but he got hired anyway. And then, anyway, I'm going to continue to make fun of Luke Arduini if he ever hears me. Good luck at Yahoo. Please make NPM more awesome, but I'm still going to make fun of you. Afterward, I went to this strange place for about 2 months from the guy that started the Lean startup thing, which is a little weird internet chat avatar website called InView. That just wasn't for me. So I started at Google, which was super awesome and a major breath of fresh air because it's such a flat structure. You basically like have 2 people above you to the founders. It kind of made you feel special, but that was basically how it worked across the entire company. But Google is basically, in one sense, it's democratic, so you always have a say in something, but everybody has a say in something. Everyone gets a voice in, and you get all these different opinions. It's almost overly democratic. You sit in meetings all day long. Everyone throws in their word. You get nothing done. I got to spend another year on Gmail, which was really cool to finally work on a product that I used and I loved, and I still use it to this day, and I still tell everyone else to use it. I still couldn't get my ex to use it because she was working at Apple. I'm like, well, screw your thing, whatever, Gmail's better. Afterward, I was on that weird, odd founding team of Google Buzz, which we all know happened to that. During that time, I was just building prototypes for the team using the friend feed API because we didn't have any like actual data. So we all signed up for friend feed, and then we were pulling that in and stuffing the friend feed into Gmail, and we were calling that Google Buzz. Obviously, they built their own system afterward and launched that. Had a terrible launch, but before that happened, I had quit and gone to Twitter. Twitter, to this day, was probably one of the greatest jobs I ever had. To that point, you know, I just went in kind of building awesome things. It was really fun to work for a somewhat small company, but making a really big difference. I'm sure most people still use Twitter now. Shut up, it's not funny. Yeah, you might recognize like the Twitter widget. We eventually had like the tweet button. You can thank me for the one big major controversial thing of the hash bang. I never actually came out into the public and told people but I was the one that actually implemented the hash bang that everyone ever so hated in the tech community. Reason being, if you don't know what the hash bang is, it's basically destroying SEO and requiring everything to be run on the client. If you didn't know, like, support was basically spotty at the time. This is about 2010 when we launched, what was dubbed as new Twitter. And when half of your users are still on Internet Explorer, you have to take that into account and give them a fast experience. So basically, one page or the next page wasn't really acceptable, so we used everything on the hash, which coincidentally broke the web, and eventually, like, I don't know, if anything, it made other browsers sort of go patch that quickly, or we just decided not to care about it. I still don't think there's support in IE9 with it, but I don't think that's really stopping people anymore. After building that and then the follow and tweet button stuff, I moved on over to Obvious, which a lot of people don't know. Twitter was an Obvious company, and they just called it Obvious 1.0. And then after Ev left, I went to go follow him to help start something we didn't really know at the time. We called it Obvious 2.0, and it was just this odd, weird incubator thing. 6 months into that, we got into Medium. At that point, we just started building prototypes. The one sort of mark that I made on that one was the actual composing editor that people use. If you haven't tried it out, check it out. It's really kind of fun, sexy, and I don't know. You get to like type pretty words on a page and save it and show it to your friends. It's really not a revolutionary idea, but I don't know. I think the folks are really happy with it. Just to kind of recap all this stuff, currently I'm at Change and trying to help create online petitions. We're migrating a large-ass Rails app into a Node app, which is turning out to be extremely complicated because not only did you just have one Rails app with one router, if you're going to introduce another, you have to have another router with the Nginx layer, which decides if it's going to go to Node or if it's going to go to Rails. We're seeing lots of improvements on the rendering speed side, but we're actually not getting great response times in the end because we ultimately still have to go back and talk to the Rails API, which is still slow, mainly because we have a giant MySQL database bottleneck, which is probably the real issue, well, which is the real issue. But if anyone has any thoughts on how to make that better, I'd still love to know. I'm still trying to push forward to just dump the Rails app, but it seems kind of hard to convince a ton of people to do that. But so far it's going pretty well. In the end, I'm kind of I don't really know what advice to give people. Is just that, like, she basically recapped it before I even got on stage, is that don't let all these companies define you. Go after what you love doing. Build products. Think about your users. Don't impress other nerds. It's nice if you impress other nerds, but you still have real people. Get away and get out of your box of, all this open source stuff. I mean, that stuff is really great, and, I'm still a big proponent of open source. I have a lot of other libraries out there, but they're just things to help me build the actual products that I wanted to build. I was actually building them quite selfishly and not really. I rarely even check bugs and issues and whatnot. I'm probably one of the worst maintainers. Thank God Rod helped out with like closing bugs and fixing issues that people submit. But all these things were to build actual products to ship to actual users. Like, what kind of idiot reinvents like a selector engine and another like DOM library and events and class systems and whatever? And I don't know. There's all these tools out there that already exist. But I just wanted these sort of like small modular things, which is now what the Node community is basically helping us do. Early on, I was talking with Isaac just to make sure it was cool that I was pushing all these browser modules into NPM. And what he told me, because apparently I was pissing off tons of people, but he said NPM wasn't supposed to just be Node's package manager. It wasn't even, I don't know, he might have just been trolling, or maybe there was a little bit of truth to it. But NPM was just meant to be like the world's JavaScript, library of stuff. And you can put anything that is JavaScript, just put it in there. So I did that. And none of it worked in Node. I was just using it to store client-side modules, and which is what ultimately led us to Ender, to basically compile all these loosely coupled modules into like a cohesive interface that sort of resembled something that looked like jQuery, because we all love what that looks and feels like. So if we can do something that allows us to build on top of that, let's do it. Wow, there's a really weird hum like right there. I'm not going to stand there. Let's see, how much time do I got? 12. I'm going to talk for 3 more minutes. My point being, just go do what you like doing. Work with cool people. I'm just like anyone else. I just happen to Forrest Gump my way through the valley. I'm not really anyone special. I'm kind of mostly pretty stupid. Build things, build awesome stuff, share everything like Brian was just talking about. Whatever you know, just spit it out, and you're going to find out if it's a stupid idea or if it's genius, and then you can iterate on that. Don't get caught up too much in tech. These conferences are great, but dive into like actual things that make a difference, or not. I mean, they can make a difference. You can just want to join companies for their tech, but this is just sort of my side of the story. Ooh, I can hide in the dark. No one can know I'm here. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to share beyond that. I purposely really didn't want to put up slides because my story isn't really about, 20 things I can put on a deck or whatever. But if anyone has any questions for me afterward, I'm open for talking, open for having a beer. I like just hanging out. I'm pretty normal. Thanks for listening to me ramble on for about 20 minutes.